Be nice. If you need an example, study normal, undamaged mothers. They are doing work that most men could never even conceive of doing. So I'm really just trying to be my mother. Okay, my mother was a school teacher. She never was mean to anybody, never unkind, disrespectful, apathetic, normal, healthy human behavior. We're so far from kindness, we have to make it a goal. How strange are we? No country in history was safe to its women. Never. So what do we men know? We have no idea that most women feel unsafe here in Mexico City all the time. And we men aren't even thinking about it. We're not even thinking about it, even though we pretend to like them. So, you know, I'm not a good person that tries to shrink a message down, but certainly peace and justice and care for all life, animal and plant, is a start. It also addresses the issue of what can I do? I'm just one person, I don't have any power. I promise you, if you're kind every day, all day long for a year, you will be overwhelmed by what you see your impact is on the world, in your neighborhood, with yourself. If you're just nice to yourself every day, life is breathtaking. You know, I think we all need to be political activists. You know, to have governments be servants of the people and not the corporations, and that we learn to live as groups, as tribes, which is our 80-million-year-old history. You know, double school teachers' salaries. The idea that a sports figure or a mediocre singer on TV makes more money than a school teacher clearly shows we have no interest in the future. The school teacher is the most important person of human culture, and all over the world we treat them like doo-doo, which is caca, I think. And going to have questions? Am I supposed to? You know, there's a movie made of my life, Patch Adams with Robin Williams, and they wanted to sell tickets. So they showed my funny side, because what sells in movies is funny and violence. Those are the two kinds of movies that sell a lot of tickets. But if I had been in charge of the movie, if it has my name on it, the theme would be peace and justice. So I want you to know that Patch Adams has lived his life working for peace and justice and care for all people. That's who I am. The funny, the humor, the nose, the laughter is a trick to get love close, as you can see in these short films. That if I look like a 68-year-old doctor with white hair and a suit, I can't be nearly as loving to the patients as easily as I can dressed the way you saw me dressed. And that my purpose here and purpose around the world is to make a world where no one alive can remember what the word war means. I will say that again. My purpose is to make a world where no one who is alive knows what the word war means, because there hasn't been any. And that they have to look in an old dictionary for this word, and maybe even doubt that it was true that we would ever do such a thing. No country was ever safe to its women, and I want a world where women are safe everywhere. And what is the connection maybe to this campaign? It's interesting, in my country, most people are lonely. Over 300 million people, and most people are lonely. As a family doctor, my interview with patients are 4 hours long. I ask every question sensitive to life. There is nothing about your most private life that I don't ask on the first encounter. And spending that kind of time with patients, I found no more than 3% had self-esteem, that they love themselves. I love me. Aren't I great? Basic self-esteem. The sense that whatever comes to you, that you know you can handle it and you can do what you dream of doing. And I found less than 5% of any of the people that I lectured to had any idea what a day-to-day vitality for life was about. And that in my 48 years of interviewing, the normal adult from the United States doesn't like themselves, doesn't like their marriage, doesn't like their job, and that's not why they came to the doctor. And I think with instruments like bad educational systems and horrible television, that we've been able to create a population that is this passive. Because when you are in that state, it's much more unlikely that you will rise up and try to change the things that need to be changed. And so first I tried to kill myself because I didn't know about revolution. You know, violence has given revolution a bad name. Most revolutions in history were non-violent. Walt Whitman was a revolution. Darwin and Einstein were revolutions. And so in my third hospital, I said, let's make a revolution for loving. The answer to all of the problems I want to change are in loving. Loving the planet, to take care of nature, and loving my job is. And I wish the movie had given that indication. What's interesting to me, since now 15 years later, I see that the world is so hungry for any message of even the simplest form of kindness that they make it into being a much bigger thing than it really was. And care, people projected on it their own wishes for it and made it a much bigger thing. So I'm definitely here promoting you to live a life of kindness. You will at least live a life that you love. If you are kind and generous and sweet to people and friendly, that's where all of my richness has come in my life. My richness with my children who work with me, my richness in everything has come from being a nice person. And how hard is that to become? It's a decision. You decide. You wake up and say, today I'm going to be a nice person, duh. Or most people don't think about it. Most people think they're a consequence of their life, their troubled marriage, their lousy job, or aging, or hair falling out, whatever it is. And so they're crisis-oriented. So they wake up ready for another rough day. I actually like to say, if you have food and a friend, what are you bitching about? That's kind of the short form of my philosophy. If you have food and friends, why aren't you blissed out? And so blissed out that you decide to be nice to people. Because you know, raise your hand if you've been nice to people all your life and hasn't seen that it's a fabulous, wonderful thing. Sure, sometimes you'll be taken advantage of. But I am here to be taken advantage of. Is that enough? Because, you know, the worst sociological decision in history was nuclear family. It's failing everywhere. If you look in Mexico, where extended families still live with each other, that's where family is strongest, where children are healthiest. know practically nothing about that in the United States. About the dead person, you're not grieving. It actually is a celebration that you love them. And you might even remember when they were alive and they went away for 6 months, you cried when they went away. That's the celebration of the closeness. And when you grieve, you water the soil of their permanent presence. You understand what I'm saying? That it isn't long before you notice, my mother's here, she died in 1989, but everything that people like about me came from my mother. And she's always going, you know, get a haircut, tuck in your shirt. She's right there. And the tears make the soil good for that. There's a great Neruda poem, Pablo Neruda, the most read poet of the 20th century, and I'm sure it's good in Spanish, but I'll give you the short poem in English. I hope it's this good in Spanish. These are his words. If I die, survive me with such sheer force that you waken the furies of the pallid and the cold. From south to south, lift your indelible eyes. From sun to sun, dream through your singing mouth. I don't want your laughter or your steps to waver. I don't want my heritage of joy to die. Don't call up my person. I am absent. Live in my absence as if in a house. Absence is a house so vast that inside you will pass through the walls and hang pictures on the air. Absence is a house so transparent that I, lifeless, will see you living. And if you suffer my love, I will die again. I hope you heard what he is saying. It means when you die, you don't want your loved ones to suffer. Grieving is not suffering. It's so long, see you later. It's not crying that scares me. Okay, not shaking. Because then I assume, you know, so what? Good riddance. Then we could have infinite number of words. The English language is full of many words. When I think of our hospital, and I also think of myself as a person, what I want to bring to every medical interaction are 6 qualities: happy, funny, loving, cooperative, creative, and thoughtful. So I want to bring thoughtfulness and playfulness and creativity. So the hospital we're building is an artist colony with theater always going on, and art studios and photography studios and metalwork and woodwork, and all of the arts are active. And that in order to work there as a permanent staff person, you have to be those 6 qualities, because we want that to be the atmosphere for healing. But, I mean, if you're looking for other words like compassion or empathy, these are words. Playmate. You know, I'm fun to die with, okay? If you only have a week to live, I'm your man. And who wants a fun one? Raise your hand if you want a fun death. And if you don't want a fun one, what kind do you want? You know, burning in a fire, that would be less fun. So, how I see about it, like with your friend, okay? There are 2 states, there's living and there's dead. To use the term dying, it's not useful. As soon as you have a little baby growing in you, it's dying. But what does that offer? It doesn't really offer anything. We die, get over it. We actually get many years where the mayfly gets 18 hours of life. So we're doing pretty well here. So there's living, and so for me, a patient that's really sick, horrible pain, horrible deformities, horrible thing, I see a living person who wants to play. If they're paralyzed from the neck down, how can you play with them with that? And the more you develop a friendship, because friendship is a really important word in healing, the more freedom you have to be really outrageous. And I'm outrageous. If you'd seen when we filmed these films, one of the films that you don't see very much of, but we're doing a spiritual healing on a man dying of cancer with his whole family present, and everyone was crying and tense and going, well, I shouldn't say those words here maybe, but they were saying, holy blank, 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 more blanks. But it was a lot different than going, oh, here's a man dying of cancer, let's all feel horrible. You actually never would have seen him look like he's horrible. He was having fun. So living people, you're living, dead is the last 3 minutes, okay? Your oxygen's cut off from the brain, tick, 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 goodbye. Fart machine, okay? Because if everything else fails, I've got Dr. Fart. It's even called Dr. Fart. Dr. Fart. It's got 6 different parts. Let's see. There's one that the kids all like, and you will know which one it is. That's the one the kids like, the juicy. Another thing that's funny in every country is underwear. So I have the world's largest underpants, and you actually saw it in the film. I've had the president of Costa Rica in my underpants with me. And the vice I use physical humor, and that's universal. Darwin, in one of his books, learned friend, thank you, and I love you, and feel that that'll get me through it. So I've clowned in 70 countries, at 10,000 deathbeds, wars, refugee camps, nightmares. And loving humor, I would say 99.9% of people respond to whatever I do, which doesn't take any intelligence, it doesn't take any training, and that's why we do clown trips for everybody. If you want to come on a clown trip, you can go to our website, patchadams.org. Thanks to this event, I have been given the ability to go to the Syrian refugee camps and Chechnya, which for me are the 2 vacation spots I can't wait to go to. So we've taken ages 3 to 88 on clown trips. We never require any training. You can be the most boring Mexican in your country. In a clown costume, you're ready.
Thank you very much.
Here's everything. I've never said that in my life. Laughter is one of those 6 qualities that makes for a healthy human community. It really is. Those 6 qualities are, I think, what makes a healthy human community, whether it's in yourself or with your family or your extended family or your community, that it's one of those 6 pillars of healthy life and living. It's funny, because of the fame, I'm all over the world. It says, the founder of laughter therapy or clown therapy. I don't know what that means. Laughter therapy, clown therapy. They don't need the word therapy to hold them up. Art therapy, music therapy, they're redundant. Because we all know that music and art, love. We used to make fun when our hospital was open. We'd say, go for a walk therapy. Have a glass of water therapy, a good moment in the toilet therapy. Because people were putting therapy at the end of things like that. I think what humor does for me in my clown work and my medical work is that if I'm fun to a patient, it helps build trust so that they might be honest with me, where before they might lie to me. They may not mention an affair they're having. And I'm trying to understand why things are troubling at home. And so humor is a great massage for truth. that we are mostly honest with our close friends that we play with. And we may not be honest with anybody else. And so I think humor is a great grease. And so it could be mistakenly thought of as a cure for loneliness or a cure for those things. But I don't want anyone to think that once you do it and you're feeling better, to stop it. That's the idea of a medicine, is that has that model where I'm saying to be healthy, humor is a part of your life. No, I actually would like you to be an adult, but I'm trying to find out where there is one. I mean, in a healthy world, an adult would be working their butt off for peace and justice and care for everybody. They wouldn't be trying to amass riches and be number one. They would want to be having fun.
Pat, don't you think it's funny people admire you just to be happy?
Well, how weird is that when you've heard from me, all you need to be happy is food and a friend. That's my formula. One friend, some food. So that means almost everybody, except the people dying of starvation today, could be. I don't want to mystify happiness. It's no big deal. Happiness is the base I'm standing on, not the thing I'm working for. You know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for billions of things. I could list all 10 billion. And from that, because of that, I want to end violence. Nothing I study says we will survive this century. And you can quote me on that. My library is 38,000 books. I take 110 monthly magazines, and they're not Ladies' Home Journal. I take, I've read 2,000 books on the environment because I'm a doctor, and what does cancer or heart disease matter if we have no water, no topsoil, no air to breathe? And so I want adults to be adult children working their butt off for a better world, because playfulness is more fun than serious hierarchical positioning. That